Hey, did you know even the tiniest lie can unravel your soul like a thread pulled from a tapestry? I'm not just spinning metaphors here. I've walked the path of Buddhist teachings for decades, and I've seen how a single untruth, whispered in a moment of fear, can ripple into a storm of regret. As a senior who spent a lifetime wrestling with truth and deception, I'm here to share the raw, unfiltered wisdom of the Buddha on why we lie, and how we can break free from its chains. Let me pull you into this with a question that might sting a little. What's the last lie you told, and why did you feel you had to tell it? Think about it. Was it to dodge a scolding, to shield someone's feelings, or to save your own skin? I've been there too. In my younger days, I'd fudge the truth about small things, skipping a chore, exaggerating a story to impress a friend. But over time, I learned through Buddha's lens that lying isn't just a slip. It's a symptom of something deeper. Let's dig into that together with stories from my life and the ancient wisdom I've carried across continents, speaking to folks like you who crave spiritual depth in a world full of noise. We'll uncover why we lie, what it costs us, and how to build a life of unshakable honesty. Let's start with the roots of dishonesty. It's fear, plain and simple. I remember a moment from my early days in a small meditation group in California back in the 70s. A young mother shared a story that stuck with me. Her little boy spilled juice on the carpet, and when she asked who did it, he froze, eyes wide with panic, and blurted out, "Not me." She knew he was lying, but she also knew why. Last time he owned up to a mess, he got a harsh scolding. That fear of punishment, of losing love or safety, is where lying begins. Buddha taught that our minds cling to safety, even at the cost of truth. Think about your own childhood. Maybe you hit a bad grade or blamed a sibling for a broken toy. I did. I once told my mama I didn't eat the last piece of pie, even though crumbs were still on my chin. Why? Because I'd been hollered at before for taking more than my share. That fear conditions us early. Tell the truth, get hurt. Tell a lie, maybe you're safe. But here's the logic. If fear builds the habit, then every lie we tell reinforces it, wiring our brains to default to deception whenever stakes feel high. Research backs this up. A 2016 study from University College London found that repeated small lies desensitize the brain's emotional response to dishonesty, making bigger lies easier over time. It's a slippery slope. I've seen it in my own family. My nephew started with fibs about homework, and by his teens he was weaving tall tales to cover sneaking out at night. It's not just kids though. How many times have you said, "I'm fine," when you're crumbling inside just to avoid a tough conversation? Or told a boss you're on track with a project when you're drowning? Fear of judgment, of conflict, of loss. It's the same root. And Buddha saw this clearly. In the Dhammapada, he warns that untruth binds us to suffering, like a net trapping a fish. I felt that net myself. Every lie I told as a young man, even about trivial things like why I was late, added weight to my conscience. It wasn't just guilt, it was the constant dread of being found out. Let me paint a picture. Imagine you're at a family dinner, and you've just lied about why you missed last week's gathering. Your sister's eyeing you suspiciously, your heart's thumping, and every bite of mashed potatoes tastes like ash because you're waiting for the other shoe to drop. That's suffering right there. Buddha's insight isn't abstract. It's about this visceral, everyday grind. And the data echoes him. A 2020 survey by the American Psychological Association found that 60% of adults admit lying at least once a week, often citing fear of confrontation as the trigger. So we lie to protect ourselves, but at what cost? We erode trust, not just with others, but within ourselves. I remember counseling a young man in a Buddhist retreat in Oregon. He'd lied to his partner about a debt, thinking it'd save their marriage. Instead, when the truth came out, the betrayal cut deeper than the debt itself. Trust, once broken, is like shattered glass, hard to piece back together. Buddha's teaching here is unrelenting. Every lie, no matter how small, plants a seed of distrust that grows into isolation. Think of your own life. How many relationships have frayed because a lie, even a white one, came to light? And how many times have you doubted your own integrity after bending the truth? This isn't just moralizing, it's a chain of cause and effect. Fear drives the lie breeds distrust, and distrust fuels more fear, more lies. It's a cycle I've seen play out in countless lives, from my own to the folks I've met in sanghas across Europe and the States. But here's where we start to turn the wheel. What if we could break that cycle by making truth safe? Now, let's flip the script with a question that might jolt you. What if the world didn't punish honesty but cradled it instead? Imagine a space where spilling the juice, flunking the test, or admitting a mistake didn't bring a storm of anger, but a hand on your shoulder and a quiet, "Let's figure this out together." I've seen this work miracles. During a retreat in the UK a few years back, I met a father who'd been struggling with his teenage daughter's constant fibs. She'd lie about where she'd been, who she was with, small things, but they piled up. Following Buddha's principle of compassion over judgment, he tried something radical. He told her, "I won't yell, I won't ground you. Just tell me what's really going on and I'll listen." The first time she tested it, admitting she'd skipped school to hang out with friends, he bit back his frustration and just nodded, asking why she felt she couldn't tell him. Slowly, over months, the lies stopped. Why? Because the fear was gone. Buddha's wisdom here is profound. Truth flourishes in an environment of love, not fear. In the Sutta Nipata, he speaks of metta, loving kindness, as the foundation of right speech. Without it, honesty feels like walking into a lion's den. I've tried this in my own life too. Years ago, a dear friend asked if I liked her new painting. I didn't. Instead of the easy lie, "It's great," I said, "I see your passion in it, but it's not my style. Tell me what inspired it." She wasn't hurt, she opened up and our bond deepened. Creating safety for truth isn't just a nice idea, it's a practical shift. Think about your workplace. How often do colleagues cover up errors because they fear blame? A 2019 Harvard Business Review study found that in psychologically safe teams, where honesty about mistakes is encouraged, productivity and innovation soar by up to 30%. It's not just business, it's personal. Picture a moment with your partner or child. Next time they hesitate, eyes darting, about to spin a tale, what if you said, "Hey, no matter what, I've got your back. Just lay it out." I've watched this transform dynamics in my own extended family. My granddaughter used to hide her struggles with school bullies, making up excuses for her sadness. When I sat her down and promised no judgment, just support, the dam broke. She told me everything. We worked through it together and now she comes to me first. But building this safety isn't easy. It demands patience, swallowing our own reactive anger and modeling honesty ourselves. Buddha didn't just preach this. He lived it, guiding his monks to confess faults without fear of shame. That's where we're headed next, to a practice so raw and powerful it can reshape how we see truth. Here's the heart of it, the unyielding core of Buddha's teaching that might shake you. There's no such thing as a harmless lie. None. Not a white lie, not a fib to spare feelings. Every untruth, if spoken with intent to deceive, is poison. I've grappled with this myself. Back in my 40s, living in a tight-knit community in New York, I told a neighbor I loved her cooking when I didn't, just to keep the peace. Seemed innocent, right? But Buddha's words in the Majjhima Nikaya cut deep. Lying distorts reality for you and others no matter the intent. That little lie led to more. I had to pretend again the next time, and soon I was dodging invitations because I couldn't keep up the act. It wasn't just awkward, it ate at my integrity. Buddha's stance is absolute. Truth is the only path to liberation. Why? Because lying, even small, starts a chain. First, it's a compliment you don't mean. Next, it's a promise you can't keep. Eventually, it's a betrayal you can't undo. I've seen this spiral in others too. A young man I mentored in a Colorado Sangha lied to his girlfriend about texting an ex, thinking it'd avoid drama. Just once, he said. But that one lie forced another to cover it, then another, until she found out and the trust was obliterated. Buddha's logic is ironclad. A lie warps your mind, dulls your moral compass, and binds you to samsara, the cycle of suffering. Studies echo this. A 2014 paper in Psychological Science showed that even minor dishonesty increases stress hormones like cortisol by 20%, wearing down mental and physical health. And it's not just personal, it's communal. Think of public figures caught in small lies, politicians fudging numbers, celebrities hiding scandals. Each untruth chips away at collective trust. I remember the fallout in my own circle when a respected elder in our Sangha was caught exaggerating his past to seem wiser. The disappointment wasn't just in him, it was in the idea that even spiritual leaders could fault. But Buddhist teaching isn't about shame, it's about clarity. He lists lying as one of the 5 precepts to abandon, right alongside killing and stealing because it's that serious. Let me set a scene. You're at a friend's house, they ask if you're upset about something they did. You are, but you say, "Nah, I'm good," to avoid tension. That lie festers. Your resentment grows, their confusion deepens, and the rift widens. I've been there, smiling through gritted teeth at a family reunion while hiding hurt over an old argument. When I finally spoke up years later, the relief was immense, but so was the regret for lost time. Buddha's warning isn't abstract, it's lived. And here's the kicker. Truth isn't just about not lying. It's about aligning your speech, mind, and heart. In the Abhyasutta, Buddha advises speaking only what is true, beneficial, and timely. I've tested this. Once, a student at a retreat asked for feedback on their meditation practice. I could have sugarcoated it, but I said, "You're distracted and it shows. Let's work on focus together." It stung them at first, but they thanked me later for the clarity. Truth delivered with care builds trust like nothing else. Contrast that with a lie's aftermath. Think of a time you were caught in one. For me, it was fibbing to a colleague about finishing a task. When they found out, the look of disappointment hurt more than any reprimand. Buddha's insight is backed by modern understanding too. A 2021 study in Nature Communications found that habitual liars show reduced activity in the amygdala, the brain's moral alarm system, meaning lying literally rewires you to care less about right and wrong. That's terrifying. But there's hope in monastic practice, a ritual I've witnessed that flips this on its head. Monks confess every fault, no matter how small, to a trusted peer, not for punishment but for release. I've sat in on these sessions during my time in a monastery in Germany. One monk admitted he'd harbored envy over another's skill in chanting. The listener didn't scold. He offered guidance on letting go of comparison. The air shifted, tension melted into peace. Imagine applying that in your life, confessing a lie or fault to someone who won't judge, just support. I've tried it with a close friend, admitting I dodged their calls out of laziness, not busyness. Their response? "Thanks for telling me. Let's catch up now." No drama, just healing. This practice isn't just for monks. It's a blueprint for us all. Truth, supported by compassion, cuts the chains of fear. So, while Buddha's stance on lying is uncompromising, it's also freeing. Stop the cycle now, and every step forward is lighter. Now, let's ease into something warmer, something that might even make you smile through the weight of all this. There's a quiet joy, a deep belly laugh of the soul, that comes from living in truth, and I felt it. Picture this. You're at the end of a long day, maybe sitting on your porch or curled up with a cup of tea, and you look back on your words, your actions, and know, not think but know, that you've been straight with everyone. No masks, no half-truths. I had a moment like this a few years back after a tough family talk. I'd laid out a hard truth about a past mistake, one I'd hidden for years out of shame. My brother listened, nodded, and said, "I'm glad you told me now." That night, I slept like a baby for the first time in ages. Buddha speaks of this in the Udana. Truth brings a happiness no lie can mimic. It's not just relief, it's pride, the good kind. I've seen it in others too. At a retreat in Texas, a woman shared how she'd finally told her boss she was overwhelmed instead of pretending to handle it all. She braced for criticism but instead got support and a lighter workload. She laughed as she told us, "I feel like I've been carrying bricks and just dropped them." That's the gush, the sweet burst of lightness. Let me take you there with a memory of mine. I used to dread community meetings at my local sangha, always tempted to lie about why I skipped one. "Oh, I was sick," I'd say, when really I just didn't feel like going. One day I fessed up. "I didn't come, 'cause I was feeling lazy and I'm sorry." Folks chuckled, someone said, "Hey, we've all been there," and the weight lifted. We ended up swapping stories of our own slip-ups, laughing over tea about how human we are. That's the magic. Truth doesn't just free you, it connects you. Imagine your own life. Maybe it's telling a friend you forgot their birthday instead of making up an excuse, or admitting to a partner you're scared about the future instead of brushing it off. When I started doing this, small step by small step, it was like clearing fog from a window. Suddenly, I saw myself and others clearer. Buddha's promise isn't empty. Living truthfully gives a satisfaction that's bone deep. It's not always easy. Sometimes truth stings before it soothes. I remember telling my daughter I'd been too hard on her as a kid, pushing my own fears onto her. Her tears hurt to see, but her hug after? Worth every word. So let's sit with this for a second. Close your eyes if you can, and picture yourself a decade from now looking back. Every tough truth you spoke, every lie you didn't tell builds a legacy of peace. Doesn't that warm you from the inside out? It does for me even now as I share this with you across miles and screens, hoping you feel the same spark. So, here we are at the end of this journey through truth and lies, and I'll keep it tight. We've seen how fear seeds dishonesty from childhood spills to adult evasions, and how Buddha's unyielding stance, "No lie is harmless," cuts through our excuses. We've explored how safety built on love and confession can break that cycle, and felt the quiet joy of a truthful life. My call to you, straight from the heart of an old-timer who stumbled and learned, is this: start small, but start now. Tell one truth today you've been dodging. Create a space for someone else to do the same. Say, "I'm here, no judgment." Together, inspired by Buddha's wisdom, let's weave a world where honesty isn't a risk, but a gift. If this resonates with you, if you want more stories and insights from my years on this path, please like and subscribe. It's the fuel that keeps me sharing. And I'd love to hear from you. What's one truth you've been afraid to tell, and what's holding you back? Drop it in the comments. Let's lift each other up.